small city just because it has cultural value, but it's really a village. So it's like 10 houses where mostly old people live. Yes, so it's really small. It's a rural area. You don't even have one big school there, only close by. And what they did, they take the old buildings that nobody uses, and they started to do the social projects. So for example, here it's called Lab Honey. So as you saw also in the logo, they choose bees as the logo, as the symbol, because bees, they need to collaborate, they put ideas, so it's kind of their metaphor. So what they did, they renovated this building, and now you can use it for different. You can use for camping. People come to camp. People come to do international workshops. People come to do their seminars. Business companies, they come and they pay for staying there. It's like a hotel. It's like a cultural thing, but just more of the space. If you need to do something, you don't know where, you want to get out with your team and have supervision or something, you come here. Yes, so it's really their main priorities is to support any startups, social businesses, social projects, so you can use that space for that. What they do, the guy who started it, he has a passion for old buildings, which has big history. So this is the monastery of Barefoot Carmelites. It's like a Carmelites, like a monks that was there. It was very old. It almost was ruined, the building. So what he does, he founds it and then he restores it. So he keeps the culture, but then puts the modern things inside. So he uses it for new life. So for example, this building, what they do, it was really not in the very good conditions. So for him, one of the first goals was to save the building, to save the history, save the culture. So he really puts a lot into it. So it's also sustainability, culture, the heritage, but it's not just a museum, so he uses it really practically. And these spaces, they look like this. And they, for example, there was a project, the scout women from Sweden, they wanted to do the project, they contacted them. They came here to do their team buildings, but they also help to restore this building. So every people who come, they have young people from rural areas who don't, I don't know, they don't have any activities, probably they do not very good things when they have a lot of free time. So what they say, if you want, you can come, we take you for the whole summer. So they give food, they give a place to stay for the young people, 16, 15 years old. And what they do, they work in the building. They learn how to, I don't know, put the floors, they learn how to color the walls, they learn how to build the beds themselves. So it's really the skills that, because probably they're not the youngsters who will finish the school, because for them it's hard, they drop out of the school or the schools are very far away. So what they do, they still want to give them some skills that they could use and find a job. So they also include those young people and they give it employment possibilities. So this is, for example, how it looks after. Not the same room, but this is the thing. So these beds, the youngsters make, these, they do it, this, everything. So they also, what they do, they find, I don't know how it's in your countries, in Lithuania, if you have a rural village, we have big problem with alcohol and suicide rates, especially with middle-aged men. Because if everybody leaves the rural areas because there is not enough work, they go to the city. Some people stay and they don't have jobs because there's like, if in the village lives 20 people, so probably they don't really have nothing to do a lot. So they drink most of their time. So when they put these kind of projects, they find the people, because usually in rural areas they really know how to do things with wood, just very basic things, and they give them the job. So those people, they come and they teach young people how to do and use all these skills. So it's also a good thing for community, because they give employment, they give workplace, job, they support them, and usually they are very flexible, because I worked in this place, and for example there was a guy who needs to teach how to work with wood, and he also had the alcoholic problem. So sometimes he drinks and he doesn't come to work. but they know it. So it's not like, oh, you did not come, you are fired. No, they're flexible, they talk with him, they supervise him. So it's really open, not just like, oh, you did something wrong, now you're out, but they support and try for the community. The latest project is still everything happens in the same place. It's a skills lab. It's an alternative school of informal education. So this is the youngster camp. I can tell a lot, but I won't because I worked in it. It's 1 month. For 1 month, young people from 14, 13 years old till 18, they leave their house and they come to live here 24/7. And there are youth workers, social workers who stay with them. So for example, me, I worked in this camp, so 1 month I leave my family, my house, and I come to stay with them. So what they do, usually they don't have a lot of skills. They don't know how to cook for themselves, probably sometimes they don't know how to clean. So they need to learn all this by themselves. So they come, they have to know how to use the washing machine, they have to keep the clean room. So it's kind of, we do volunteering here, we learn how to live with a lot of people. So it's the same, there are 10 youngsters in one house, they have separate building, and they have to make it clean, clear, but also they do activities. So yeah, I like it, you cannot see it, but it's written, this is the door, and it's written, be careful, there are good kids, but with weak nerves. You understand, yeah? Okay. So it means that because they also do a lot of, sometimes they get out of the control in the village, okay? So that's why it's like a warning. But what they do, they also learn how to work with wood. Yes, they, this is the building. So the beds, the tables, they made by themselves. So the first project that came, there was not a lot of things. So they needed to do it for themselves. And for them it's very important because also they try to make something, and if you, I don't know, drop out of school, your village think that you only can do sit in the streets with friends, I don't know, smoke or drink, then it's very important for them that they can achieve something. So also they use this camp, when the youngsters come, they work, and they also put these things that they built in the monastery or the other places that I talked before, the buildings. So it's really like that, that everything it's built by the youngsters, but when, for example, if I want to stay there, I pay money for staying, like in a hotel or something like that. Yes, so it's really, everything is very combined together. And to just clarify, so this is the village, all village. This is the building, there is a church, then there is this building which is a monastery, I told you. So this is the monastery, this is the honey lab, and this is the school for the kids camp. So what they said with the municipality, they agreed that because before in this building there was like a municipality of the village, and as there is not a lot of people, there is no use of it. So they say, okay, we give for the better project, and they do things. So the real idea from them, it started just to use buildings that nobody uses. Because I don't know how it's in your countries, but in Lithuania villages we have a lot of old fabrics or some buildings that nobody works in it. So for them it was, okay, have a space, we can work together, we can make skills from that, and we can use it for the work. So this is one of the biggest, you could say, social project and entrepreneurship projects in Lithuania that happens, and they are very successful in what they do. Sometimes I think the more they develop, they lose sometimes the social mission. It's not always about the social mission, sometimes it's getting more about business and just being the hotel and not sometimes supporting the social local projects, but still they try. The other one, it's Lithuanian, it's in my city, in Vilnius. It's in one of the districts. It's called City Laboratory. So there was one district which is very green. And the main idea came to support the community. A lot of people who live in the cities, but for example, they want to grow their own vegetables, they don't have a place. And there was a park, and they said, okay, so maybe we neighbors want to have our garden. So the park said, okay, here is the space, you can have your garden. So the neighbors wanted to do gardening. They came to that place and started to put their own vegetables. And then after, they started to have their own markets when they want to sell something that they grew. After they said, okay, but I want to know who lives near with me, I don't want to know the people, and then they started to do neighbor gatherings. So it means that from that district place, the neighbors who wanted to be together with community, they came and just started to spend their evenings. Sometimes somebody cooked, and then they developed the idea. So it's a building, and the main thing is about the community, because there's a lot of neighborhood events. For example, if you live there and you say, I want to do, I don't know, Turkish lesson for the community, they say, okay, come, organize, they give you space, they give you materials, you do. You need to promote it, but if you have any idea and you want to do something for community, you come. They are very free for the arts, music, support a lot of things. Still, they need money, so they have the main business idea. They have like this, like a small restaurant. This is the 80–90% of their incomes, which helps them to survive. So it's a restaurant that, for example, has every Sunday, weekend, or Mondays, different days, late brunches. People can come for a short time, I don't know, have breakfast. Sometimes they have dinner. What they also use it for the community space. For example, you say, oh, I want to have intercultural evening, I want to cook, I don't know, Syrian food for everyone. You come, you buy your food, and then you invite it. For example, you sell the food, you earn money, and then some of them you leave for the buildings, for the community. Some of them it's your own salary. And they do a lot of intercultural, they collaborate a lot with the refugee center in Medus. So, for example, the people who are still in like asylum seekers, they don't have a job yet and so on, there's still a lot of bureaucracy to make, and they have a lot of free time. So what they say, we can provide you the job. Sometimes, for example, they have special, like I said, from their nationality, breakfast. People come and they pay for that, so the money goes to that person. So they have a lot of this kind of integration meeting, where also, for example, it helps for that person to be more closer to community, but also it's a more communicative, open table, some events, you can hear different kind of music and so on. The other one is the same National Social Integration Institute. This one I really like. It's social taxi. It's for the people who have disabilities, different ones, and they cannot, because you know, if you are in the wheelchair, you cannot go and call a taxi normal, because usually there are special things you need to have for the car that you could arrive safely. So that's what they did. They started with some cars just in one city. Now it's, I think, in 5 already cities. They employ people. They work with them. So it's not only calling and taking the people, but for example, some people or some disabilities have special needs. For example, it could be, I don't know, epilepsy could come, but so they know how to deal with that. Okay, some people, I don't know, could have some panic attack, so the drivers know how to deal. So it's not only just driving and saying, okay, you are out, but it's also, you know, if they need something to carry, if they go to the shop, they need they go with them, they help them. So the idea was more that there's a lot of people who cannot be independent. For example, if my, I don't know, kid is disabled and I need to go to school, I cannot drive him to school. Or I cannot drive him to, I don't know, dance or, I don't know, whatever, lesson. So they say that the disabled people should also feel independent and free to do whatever they want. So that's the main idea of it. The next one, which is, for me, that's what I call social business. It's called My Guru. It's a salad bar. It's in Vilnius, and it's already for 20 years. This social entrepreneurship has very difficult history, because what they do, they hire people who are ex-prisoners and who has addictions. Because usually people, I don't know how it's in your country, there's a lot of stigma and stereotypes. Nobody wants to give a job to ex-prisoner because they don't trust them, they're afraid of them, especially if you still have addictions. Yes, because they say, oh, you use drugs, maybe you will have some disease, I don't know, maybe you will not come to work, so nobody wants to hire them. So what they do, they collaborate, because the woman who started it, she before volunteered and worked in a prison place for 8 years. So they really collaborate a lot with the addiction rehabilitation centers. With the, for example, they know from the jail, somebody calls and they say, you know, there's a guy who wants to try, and maybe you have a space. So they really help it. What they say that the people who come here to work after they share, because a lot of times it's a difficult prison system in Lithuania. It doesn't work very well. So if you get out to the freedom, there's a big probability that after half a year you are back. Because if you sit in jail for 10 years and you have addiction, you don't know how to live this life. Because now, 1 year, everything changes so fast. So if you sit 10 years, you have no idea how to survive in this world. And we don't really have a good reintegration. And for them, they always have a lot negative also shout-outs from people. Because if people need to choose where to go, some say, why should I go to the prison? Or maybe I will say something that I don't like and he will punch me or something. So not a lot of people come here. And when it opened, a lot of people said because it's in the center of the old town. So they said that because of that, those people come there, so it's not so safe to walk around there, to go inside. So a lot of people, because they have negative stereotypes, they don't go to that bar. So for them, at the beginning, it was very hard. One time, it has already closed because they didn't have money. But then some people donated, they write some projects, so now they reopened again. But also what they say, it's, for me that's the best example of a social mission, because if you work with those kind of people, you have to understand it's not only, okay, I want to help those people, I will give them jobs and woohoo, we are now happy and the social change is happening. No, because those people, they still, it's not the people who already don't have addictions, it's the people who still use, but they want to change. So also in this bar you will not find alcohol if you want to go in Vilnius and sit and have a meal. So here, no alcohol, and there's a reason for that, yes, because for those people it would be very hard. But also for them sometimes, it's what also she said, it's very hard to find people, chefs, who will work with those people. In 1 year, they change 8 chefs. Because usually people who they want to do better, they want to sell, they want to improvise, you know, we all know these TV shows, Hell Kitchen and everything. So probably this model will not work with those people. Because sometimes they don't even know how to wash dishes very good, and it's everything very simple, very slowly. You need to explain how to do it. Sometimes you need to give more breaks to that person. Sometimes you need to talk with him. So what they do, it's you really need to think when you start the project about the process. Not only that, okay, I have a mission, I will do it, but how you will work with those people. Because for that you really need special competences and skills. So for them it's not always easy, but they still succeed. And this is one theory, but they say situational facilitation. So it means that usually in business companies and a lot of other places you have rules, or when you go to work you have agreement, your functions. Here it doesn't work like that, because every individual is different and the conditions that he needs to succeed in the workplace is also different. So every time you need to adapt the situation. Here it says the leadership, so for example supportive, it means that when you have a worker, 100% of responsibility is still on if I am the owner of it, yes, the team leader, mostly 100% responsibility, I take it on me. You know, I don't expect them to succeed immediately. I don't expect them to come and say, oh, you know, I want to do this. No, I know that it's my responsibility. I took those people, so it's my responsibility to help them to gain skills, to support them, Coaching, it's also showing how to do things. Yes, if you don't know, we will teach you. I don't expect you not just support in the environment, but also if you don't know, it's okay. Because usually all the workplaces, they already ask for us to have skills. They say, if you want this job, show me that you can do it. Those people, they can't, so you cannot really expect that. Directing probably will not work in this social enterprise because, you know, for those people, they need more. They need supporting and coaching. And delegating, yeah, it means that you come to my office, I tell you what to do, you don't do, you're out. So these models, usually you see this in the business world, other institutions, but this doesn't work. And the situational facilitation, it means that sometimes you have to be here, sometimes you have to be here, here, here. So it's very flexible and adapting all the time. It's all for Lithuania, but because it's my presentation and I can do whatever I want to share one project. It's from Belgium, but for me, if I would ever think of doing something like this social enterprise, I would love to be able to do that, what they did, because for me that's the best example, and if I think about it, that's the best example that inspires me. I don't know if you know Mobile School. You have it in your Romania. I don't know if you have more, but in one city you have Iași. I checked, so this is the tool, which it's a big board. It's from Lithuania. Now we also have in the organization that I worked before, we started the project. It's a big board, a big box, which has a lot of panels. And you do like this, and there is more than 230 educational games, panels that you can change. So, because I am a street youth worker, so we work in the streets because there's a lot of kids or young people who does not come to open youth centers, they don't come to social centers, so you need to go to them. So this is the tool. The team goes, they drive to the district where there's a lot of kids before they do the research, and then they say, oh, from this hour to this we'll be here. So all the kids who want to come, they start activities with them. This they use a lot in South America, Africa, and so on, because, for example, there's like skills how to write, 1, 2, 3. A lot of educational materials that usually you have in schools, but if those people don't have an opportunity to go to school, that's where they learn. So, but the most important thing, how it works. So this is the tool. If you want to apply, you can apply. They give you this tool, everything for free. You don't need to pay. There's agreements you have to sign, how much you use it and so on. They come and they do 3 times workshops. So first they come, they see, are you ready? To research a bit your organization, where you want to do it. After they come again with the tool and they teach you. So give 1 week, the trainers come, they stay in the, I don't know, Airbnb hotels on their own money, we pay nothing, and they give us training. Next time they come, we do implementation and so on. So it's always support. We pay nothing for that, but why? How they can do it? So, this is the organization, streetwise, it's Belgium. There is also a Dynamo, social street youth, street work network around the world. What they do, they go to the streets and work with the street kids and young people. They give a lot of examples and do a lot of work in South America, because there you really have kids who were born in the streets and they're all like they live there. So we don't have in Lithuania that kind of problems. It's different. I don't know how it's in your country. Do you have street kids or street youngsters? So they work with them, and I don't know, from my experience also, I don't know how much you know, but the people who usually stay a lot in the streets, they have a lot of skills.